Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my podcast. And oh my gosh, I am so thrilled that you're here with me today. If you're listening for the very first time, let me tell you a little bit about what we do here and why I absolutely love creating content for this amazing community of language learners like yourself. My name is Lilly, and I'm genuinely passionate about helping people just like you unlock the real secret to sounding absolutely natural when you speak English, especially the way Americans actually talk in their everyday lives. This isn't about textbooks, boring grammar lessons, or complicated language rules that nobody uses anyway. This is about the real deal, the authentic way people communicate when they're just being themselves. So here's the exciting part about what you're going to get from this episode. We're diving deep into the most commonly used words and expressions that Americans use literally every single day, and I'm going to show you exactly how to integrate them into your own speaking so that people actually think you grew up speaking English. I'm talking about the vocabulary you'll hear at the grocery store, in coffee shops, at work, during casual hangouts with friends, and literally everywhere in between. If you love this episode and find it super helpful, please make sure you hit that like button and share this with your friends who are also working on their English. Seriously, word of mouth is everything, and when you share these episodes, you're literally changing someone's life because they're going to improve their speaking so much faster. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we are constantly releasing brand new podcast episodes that are specifically designed to help you become more confident, more fluent, and honestly, just more amazing when you're speaking English in any situation. And here's something really cool I want you to do right now. Check out our podcast playlist because we have a huge collection of episodes covering everything from advanced pronunciation techniques to understanding cultural differences in American communication, and every single episode is designed to take you from wherever you are right now to actually sounding like a native speaker. The playlist is right there waiting for you, so definitely go check that out after this episode ends. All right, my friend, grab your headphones, get comfortable, maybe grab a cup of tea or coffee, because we're about to embark on an absolutely amazing journey through the world of authentic American English. This is going to be so good, so let's jump right in. Okay, so let me start by asking you something really important. Have you ever wondered why some people sound so natural when they speak English, while others, even though they know all the vocabulary and grammar rules, still sound a bit stiff or textbook-like? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it's something that most traditional English teachers never really talk about in their classes. The secret is all about understanding how Americans actually use everyday vocabulary in their natural conversations. You see, when Americans talk to each other, we're not following strict grammatical rules from some formal handbook. We're not speaking in complete, perfectly constructed sentences like they teach you in English classrooms. Instead, we use a lot of contractions, we use casual expressions, we throw in filler words, and we use phrases that show ease, familiarity, and genuine fluency. These are the things that make American English sound alive and real and authentically conversational. So if you really want to sound like a native American speaker, you absolutely need to understand how these everyday words and phrases work together in real conversations. It's not just about knowing a word and its definition. So if you really want to sound like a native American speaker, you absolutely need to understand how these everyday words and phrases work together in real conversations. It's not just about knowing a word and its definition. Let me give you an example that I think will really help you understand what I'm talking about. Let's say you're learning the word happy. You know what happy means, right? It's the opposite of sad. But there are so many different ways that Americans actually use happiness and emotion in their everyday language. Someone might say, "I'm so happy about this," which is straightforward. But someone else might say, "I'm kinda happy about it," which suggests they're happy but not super thrilled. Or they might say, "I'm pretty happy," which is somewhere in the middle. These subtle differences in how we use words are what separate people who sound like they just learned English from a textbook from people who sound like they actually grew up speaking it. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on throughout this entire episode. We're going to break down these real, authentic expressions and help you understand not just what they mean, but how Americans actually use them in real-life situations. All right, let's start with probably the most important and definitely the most common word in American English, and that word is like. Now, I know you've learned this word in school, and you probably learned that it means something similar to or that you enjoy something. But in American English, especially in everyday conversation, the word like is so much more than that. It's used in about 1,000 different ways, and understanding all of these uses is going to completely transform how you sound when you speak. First of all, Americans use like to introduce examples, and they do this constantly. Someone might say, "I enjoy doing fun activities like going to the beach, watching movies, or cooking new recipes." This is using like to introduce specific examples of a broader category. You're going to hear this all the time in casual conversation, and it's actually super easy to learn. But here's where it gets interesting. Americans also use like as a filler word, which means it's a word that people use to fill pauses while they're thinking of what to say next. This is probably the most famous use of the word like, and honestly, it's become such a stereotype that people sometimes make fun of it. But you know what? It's incredibly common, and if you don't use it at least occasionally, you actually might sound less authentic. Someone might say, "I was like totally shocked when she told me that news," or "He's like the nicest guy I've ever met." You can hear how the word like is kind of filling space while the person is processing their thoughts. Another really important use of like is to express emotions or reactions. Americans say things like, "That's like so cool," or "I'm like, seriously, no way." This use of like is all about showing how you're feeling in a conversational, casual way. It's not formal, but it's absolutely how people talk in real life. Let me give you some examples that you can practice with right now. Ready? Say these out loud with me so you can hear how they sound when you're speaking them. First one, "He's like my best friend in the whole world." Now try this. "I was like really tired after working that long shift." And one more for you. "We could do something fun like going to that new restaurant everyone's been talking about." Listen carefully to where the word like is placed and how it sounds when it's spoken naturally. The key thing to remember about practicing with like is that you need to focus on the pauses and the rhythm of the sentences. Practicing out loud with your own voice and really trying to match the flow of how native speakers say these sentences is absolutely key to sounding more authentically American. Don't worry too much about being absolutely perfect. What's way more important is that you focus on becoming comfortable with these expressions and repeating them over and over until they start to feel natural when you say them. Now, let's move on to another word that's absolutely essential for sounding like a native American speaker, and that word is just. Americans absolutely love using this word because it allows them to soften what they're saying, make it sound more casual, more friendly, and less demanding or aggressive. This is such an important part of how Americans communicate because we tend to prefer being gentle and polite rather than direct and harsh. Here's a really good example of what I'm talking about. Instead of saying, I want to ask you a question, which sounds kind of abrupt and direct. An American would probably say, I just wanted to ask you something, which sounds way softer and friendlier and less like you're demanding something from the other person. Do you see the difference? That word just completely changes the tone of the entire sentence. But just doesn't only mean softening your words. It can also mean only, as in, I just need 5 more minutes to finish this project. Or it can mean recently, like when someone says, I just got here 5 minutes ago. Or it can mean simply, like, it's just a simple question. The meaning of just really depends on the context of the sentence and how it's being used. Let's practice some sentences together that use the word just in different ways. I want you to say these out loud with me because hearing yourself say them is so important for your brain to learn and remember these patterns. Okay, here we go. Say this first one. I just wanted to say thank you for being such a good friend to me. Now, try this. Can I just ask you one quick question about what you said? And here's one more. I just saw her at the grocery store yesterday. Now, as you're saying these, think about the tone and the speed of your voice. In American English, we often speak in a way that flows smoothly from one word to the next, and these practice sentences are really going to help train your mouth and your ears to move and hear English the way Americans use it naturally. All right, let's talk about one of the most important words in American conversations, and that word is really. This is a word that Americans use constantly for emphasis, to show surprise, to show interest, or to strengthen what they're saying. It's one of those words that has so many emotional layers and so many different ways you can use it, depending on what you're talking about. For example, you might hear someone say, "That's really cool," or "I really like that movie," or "That's really interesting." But really can also be a question, like when someone says, "Really? You did that?" in a way that shows surprise or disbelief. It's casual, expressive, and totally natural in everyday life. And honestly, if you're not using really fairly regularly when you speak English, you probably don't sound as American as you could. Let's practice using really in a bunch of different ways. I want you to repeat these sentences with me and really try to feel the emotion in your voice when you say the word really. Ready? Here goes. Say this. I really like this place so much. Now try. That was really fun, and I want to do it again. And here's one more. Really, I didn't know that about him. As you're saying these sentences, really pay attention to the emotion in your voice and how it changes the way your sentences feel and sound. American English is really emotional and expressive, and that's what makes it sound alive and authentic and real. Now, let's talk about another small but incredibly powerful word that Americans use all the time, and that word is so. Americans use so for emphasis, like when they say, I'm so tired right now, or that's so funny, I can't stop laughing. But so is also really commonly used to connect thoughts and ideas together in a conversation. For example, someone might say, so, what are you doing tonight? Or, so, here's what I'm thinking about this situation. This word is one of those words that shows how American English flows from one idea to the next in a conversation. You're going to hear so at the start of sentences all the time, especially when people are trying to continue a conversation or transition from one topic to another. It's like a bridge word that helps move the conversation along smoothly. Let's try some sentences with so you can get a feel for how it's used. Say this one out loud. I'm so happy right now that I could dance. Now try, that's so interesting, and I want to hear more. And here's one more. So, are you coming to the party on Saturday? As you're practicing these, really pay attention to the rhythm and how so adds feeling to your sentences or helps you move smoothly from one sentence to the next. This kind of speaking rhythm is what gives American English its natural vibe and makes it sound authentic. All right, let's talk about a word that's one of the most used words in spoken American English. But here's the thing, it doesn't always mean something concrete or specific. A lot of times, it's just a way to start or soften a sentence and give yourself a moment to think. That word is well, and it's absolutely essential for sounding like a native speaker. For example, someone might say, "Well, I'm not really sure about that." Or, "Well, let me think about it for a second." Or, "Well, I didn't expect that to happen." The word well helps people ease into their thoughts, and it gives them a moment to decide what they want to say next without awkward silence. It's like a buffer that makes your speech sound more thoughtful and less abrupt. Let me give you some examples that you can practice with. Say this first one with me. "Well, I guess that makes sense when you think about it." Now try, "Well, we could try something new if you want to." And here's another. "Well, I didn't expect that kind of reaction from him." Now let's talk about a word that's absolutely great for correcting information, expressing your real opinion, or introducing a new idea that might be different than what people would expect. That word is actually. Americans use this word all the time in conversations, and it's polite, clear, and super common in American speech. That word is actually. Americans use this word all the time in conversations, and it's polite, clear, and super common in American speech. The word actually allows you to present new information in a way that's not rude or dismissive, but is still very clear about what you're saying. Let's go through some practice examples together. Say this one. "Actually, I'm not free tonight, so let's reschedule." Now try, "Actually, that's a really good idea, and I want to do it." And here's one more. "Actually, it was easier than I thought it would be." Repeat these with me and really listen to how actually changes the tone of the sentence. It makes your speech sound more confident, more thoughtful, and way more like real American conversation. All right, let's talk about a phrase that Americans use constantly when they want to soften what they're saying or when they aren't totally sure about something. That phrase is kind of, and honestly, it's one of the most used phrases in casual American English. When you say kind of, you're basically saying that something is true, but maybe not completely or maybe not as strongly as it could be. For example, "I kinda like it, but maybe not with your whole heart." Or, "He's kind of funny," means he's funny in a way that's maybe unexpected or not super strong. Or, "I'm kind of tired," means you're somewhat tired, but not completely exhausted. Do you see how this softens everything you say? Let's practice with some examples. Say this. "I kinda want to stay in tonight rather than go out." Now try, "She's kind of amazing in the way she handles tough situations." And here's one more. "That kind of surprised me when I heard about it." Again, think about the tone as you're saying these. American English is full of these little words and phrases that help you say things in a softer, more friendly, more relaxed way. And that's exactly why these examples are so important for developing your fluency. Now, let's talk about one of the most casually used expressions in spoken American English, and that's, this is a phrase that you're going to hear people saying constantly, and here's the interesting thing about it. A lot of times, it doesn't have a super specific meaning in the sentence. Instead, it acts as a filler to keep the rhythm and flow of speech going, or it helps the speaker check if the listener is following what they're saying. For example, someone might say, "It was, kind of unexpected," or "He's, just really cool," or "I was, super nervous about the situation." The phrase doesn't have a concrete meaning, but it helps the conversation flow more smoothly. It can also show hesitation, comfort, or a sense of shared understanding between the people talking. You're going to hear, you know, used in friendly conversations, in interviews, in storytelling, and basically everywhere people are having casual conversations. Learning how to use you know naturally is a really important part of sounding fluent in casual American speech. It's, not that simple to explain. Now try, she was, really helpful during the whole project. And here's one more. I think it's, something we should all consider carefully. While you're practicing, pay attention to your voice and try to pause slightly before and after, because that's how it flows in everyday conversation. The key is not to overthink it or force it. Just say it as part of your natural rhythm in communication. All right, let's talk about a word that sounds super vague, but Americans use it constantly, and that word is thing. This word is incredible because it can refer to an object, a situation, an event, or even an idea. It's kind of like a catch-all word that you use when you can't name something specifically, or you don't want to explain it in detail. For example, someone might say, "The thing is, I'm not ready yet." Or, "It's just a thing people say all the time." Or, "What's that thing you used to do on weekends?" The flexibility of the word thing makes it super useful in spontaneous conversation, and you're going to hear it everywhere. Let's practice using thing in different contexts. Say this, "That's the thing I was talking about before." Now try, "The thing is, I'm not super confident about that." And here's one more. "I like the way you explain the whole thing." The more natural your tone, the more American your English is going to sound to other people. Now, let's move on to one of the most natural sounding and useful expressions in American English, and that's I mean. This phrase is used all the time to explain something more clearly, correct yourself, or emphasize a particular point. Americans say I mean when they want to clarify what they just said or expand on it a little bit more. For example, someone might say, "I didn't love the movie. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't amazing." Or, "You could try calling her again to see if she answers." The phrase, I mean. Let's practice some examples together. Say this, "I mean, that's not what I expected from him." Now try, "I mean, it could work if we all try really hard." And here's one more. "I mean, she didn't actually say no, so there's still hope." This phrase often comes with a slight pause after it, which helps separate your thoughts or emphasize emotion. That pause is actually part of the rhythm of American speech, so listen carefully and practice until it becomes comfortable and natural. All right, let's talk about a word that pops up constantly in everyday conversations, and that word is stuff. This word is super informal, and Americans often use it when they want to talk about things in general but don't want to be specific, or when there are just too many details to list out. You'll hear people say things like, "I've got a lot of stuff to do today," or "She left her stuff at my place," or "We talked about all kinds of stuff." The word stuff is casual, relaxed, and sounds perfectly natural in daily life. It's one of those words that makes your English sound more like how real people talk. Let's do some practice with stuff. Say this, "I'm busy with work and other stuff today." Now try, "We need to pack up our stuff before we leave for vacation." And here's one more. There's some good stuff in this book that you should definitely read. Notice how easy and smooth these lines sound. American English often avoids being too formal in everyday conversations, and the word stuff definitely helps keep things light and easygoing. Now, let's discuss a pair of extremely common expressions that are used constantly in spoken American English, and those are gonna and wanna. These are actually informal contractions. Gonna is the contraction of going to, and wanna is the contraction of want to. Both of these are used all the time in casual speech. Instead of saying, I'm going to go now, which sounds way too formal and stiff, Americans say, I'm a go now, which sounds way more natural and conversational. Likewise, instead of saying, I want to eat something, which is correct, but still a bit formal, Americans say, I want to eat something, which is exactly how people actually talk. These words might not appear often in formal writing or in your textbook, but they are absolutely everywhere in real-life speech. And if you're not using them, you're probably sounding less American than you could be. Let's practice together. I'm going to call him later tonight. Now say, do you want to hang out tonight? Try this. I want to learn more about what you're saying. These phrases make you sound fluent and modern, and exactly like how American English speakers naturally talk. Americans use them without even thinking about it, so the more you practice, the more automatic they'll become for you too. All right, let's talk about a phrase that's absolutely essential for sounding like a native American speaker, and that's hang out. This phrase simply means spending time with someone in a relaxed, informal way, and it's used constantly. You might hear people say, do you want to hang out later? Or, we were just hanging out at her place this weekend. The phrase is used for friendly, casual interactions, not for work or formal meetings. It helps you sound friendly, sociable, and really in tune with American lifestyle and culture. Americans absolutely love using this phrase because it's casual and comfortable, and it shows that you're someone who enjoys spending time with others. Let's practice some examples. Let's hang out this weekend. It'll be fun. Now try, we hung out at the mall for a few hours yesterday. And here's one more. I like hanging out with my cousins because we always have fun. Saying hang out in the right tone can make you sound like you really understand American culture and how friendships and social connections work in that environment. Now, let's focus on some small yet powerful linking words that help move conversations along smoothly. The word anyway is very commonly used to change the topic, wrap up a conversation, or go back to a main point that you were discussing. It's super helpful when you want to shift focus or gently close a discussion. For instance, someone might say, anyway, let's get back to the point we were making. Or, anyway, I should get going now because it's getting late. Or someone might say, anyway, what were we talking about before we went off on that tangent? The word anyway is really helpful for managing conversations and keeping them on track. Let's say some examples together. Say this, anyway, it's getting late and I need to head home. Now try, anyway, let's try again tomorrow and see if we have better luck. And here's one more. Anyway, what were we talking about before we started discussing that? Practicing this kind of transition word gives you the tools to manage conversations like a native speaker would, smoothly and naturally. Let's also look at the word literally. This is an interesting word because Americans often use it for emphasis, even if not always in its strict grammatical meaning. You'll hear people say, I literally ran into him at the store yesterday, or she was literally glowing when she smiled. It's meant to express strong feeling, surprise, or urgency, even if the situation isn't exactly literal in the traditional sense. It's a very expressive word in American slang and daily speech, and you hear it all the time, especially among younger speakers. Try practicing with me. Say this, I literally can't believe that happened to me. Now try, it was literally the best day of my entire life. And here's one more. He literally said that directly to my face. And here's another word that's an absolute favorite in American English, and that's cool. This word is used constantly to express approval, agreement, or something that's impressive or interesting. You'll hear people say, "That's cool," "You're cool," or "That sounds cool." These are super common and very friendly expressions that show you like something or someone. Cool can describe things, people, ideas, or events. It's one of the most versatile and useful words in American conversations. When something is cool, it's good, it's interesting, it's impressive, or it's something you approve of. That movie was so cool, and I loved it. Now try, "Cool, I'll see you later this afternoon." And here's one more. "She has a really cool style that I absolutely admire." Using cool appropriately can help you connect with others more easily, especially in casual social settings. All right, let's try to put everything we've learned so far into a simple everyday dialogue so you can see how all of these expressions work together. Imagine you're talking to a friend who just got a new job. You say, "Wow, that's so cool." I mean, I literally didn't expect that to happen. You've been, working really hard and stuff. So what's the next thing you're going to do about it? Well, I just want to relax for a bit because I was kind of stressed. Anyway, let's hang out this weekend if you're free. You answer, "Sure, that sounds really fun. I'm going to bring some food and stuff if that's cool with you." Do you see how natural that sounds? This kind of speaking is exactly what you'll hear in real American life every single day. Let's practice this short dialogue by repeating both parts. Try changing some of the words and saying it in your own way, using different phrases. Now, let's explore how Americans use small expressions to react, show emotions, or keep a conversation flowing naturally. One of the most commonly used expressions is "no way." This phrase is often used to show surprise, disbelief, or even excitement about something. If someone tells you something shocking or unexpected, the natural American reaction might be, "No way! Are you serious?" It doesn't literally mean there's no possible way to do something. It's just a casual, emotional reaction to something surprising or interesting. Let's practice a few examples. Say this. Critical. "No way! That really happened to you?" Now try, "No way! I didn't know that about him." And one more. "No way! That's absolutely amazing." Say them with emotion and rhythm because American English is full of feeling and your tone matters just as much as your actual words. When you practice, don't just say the words, say them with the energy and mood that matches the actual meaning. Another phrase that you'll often hear in American conversations is "I guess." It's usually used when someone is not completely sure about something or wants to sound less direct. For example, instead of saying, "I don't like it," an American might say, "I guess I'm not really into it." It softens the opinion and keeps the tone friendly and non-judgmental. Or someone might say, "I guess it's okay," which basically means they're not super excited about something, but they don't dislike it either. It's a way of expressing yourself without being too strong or direct. Let's practice this together. Say this, "I guess we could try it now if you want." Now say, "I guess she didn't know about that." And another, "I guess I'll just go home now." Listen to how "I guess" adds a feeling of uncertainty or politeness. You'll hear this phrase a lot in American TV shows, movies, and daily conversations. Now, let's talk about "you guys." This is one of the most common ways to address a group of people in American English, especially in informal situations. For example, instead of saying the very formal, "How are all of you?" someone would say, "How are you guys doing?" It's friendly, simple, and super commonly used whether you're talking to 2 people or 10 people. Some regions say y'all, but you guys is much more widely used in general American English across the entire country. Let's try some examples. Say this. Are you guys ready to get started? Now say, you guys want something to drink. Try this one. You guys want something to drink? You guys were absolutely amazing today. Let's look at kind of and sort of again, but this time focusing on how they are used to express mild emotions or uncertainty. These expressions help Americans sound less forceful and more approachable and friendly. For instance, someone might say, I'm kind of tired, or it's sort of interesting. This shows that they don't feel super strongly either way about something. It's a way of speaking that keeps things light and non-judgmental and shows that you're not trying to argue or make a big deal. Practice these like me. Say this. You must return audio only. I'm kind of nervous about the meeting tomorrow. Now try. That movie was sort of boring, to be honest. And here's one more. I kind of like the new design they came up with. Say them slowly and try to feel the difference between strong opinions and soft opinions. That soft tone is a big part of American communication. Let's now talk about the word pretty, not just as in beautiful, but as a way of saying fairly or somewhat. Americans say things like pretty good, pretty tired, or pretty sure. It's more casual than saying very and sounds way more natural in everyday conversations. For example, someone might say, I'm pretty excited about the trip, or it was pretty hard to finish on time. You'll hear this word all the time. Let's practice together. That's pretty cool. Now say, I'm pretty sure he said yes. And one more. This coffee is pretty strong. You see how natural that sounds? Using pretty in this way makes your speech sound casual and modern and exactly like a native speaker. Another everyday American expression is figure out, which simply means to solve something or understand it. Instead of saying, I solved the problem, an American would probably say, I figured it out. It's more conversational and super common in day-to-day speech. For example, someone might say, I'm trying to figure out what to eat tonight, or she figured out the answer really fast. Let's try some practice examples. Say this, I need to figure out how to fix this. Now try, did you figure out the directions to get there? And here's one more. He's trying to figure it out, but it's complicated. These types of phrasal verbs make you sound way more fluent and connected to how English is spoken every day in America. Now, let's look at one of the most essential phrases in casual conversation. It depends. This short phrase is often used when you want to say that something is not always the same or depends on certain circumstances. For example, if someone asks, do you like working from home? You might say, it depends. Sometimes I like it, and sometimes I don't. Or if someone says, do you want to go out? You might say, it depends on the weather. This expression shows that you're thinking and being flexible about situations. It's often used to avoid giving a direct yes or no when the answer is actually more complicated. Practice these with me. Say this, it depends on my schedule that day. Now try, it depends how I'm feeling. And one more, it depends if it rains or not. You're not giving a final answer. You're keeping the conversation open. That's a very American way of speaking. Calm, thoughtful, and easygoing. Let's also look at what's up. This phrase is one of the most common informal greetings in American English. It basically means, how are you, or what are you doing, but it's used way more casually and informally. What's up? Or, what's up with you? It's a friendly way to start a conversation without being too formal or serious. The usual response is not much or just hanging out. Say these with me. Hey, what's up? Now try, what's up with that guy? And here's another way to respond. Not much, just chillin'. Now, let's focus on a word like basically. It's often used to summarize something or explain the most important part of what you're saying. For instance, someone might say, basically, we decided not to go, or basically, the idea is to save time. It helps simplify complex ideas and make them easy for other people to understand. You can think of basically as a shortcut to the main point when you don't want to explain everything in detail. Repeat with me. Say this. Basically, we need to leave early. Basically, he's saying no to the whole thing. And here's one more. Basically, it's done and we can move on. Practice using this word when you want to give someone a short version of a longer, more complicated explanation. All right, let's bring all of these expressions together into another mini conversation so you can see how they all work together in real dialogue. Imagine two friends sitting in a car trying to decide what to do on a Friday night. One says, "So, what do you want to do tonight?" The other says, "I don't know. I feel like just chilling, maybe? I'm kind of tired from work." First friend replies, "Cool, I'm down for that. Want to grab some tacos?" "Yeah, sounds good. Are you sure you're good to drive?" "Yep, let's go." This is how real American English works in everyday situations. Quick, casual, friendly, and full of expressions that show agreement, interest, or simple everyday choices. To practice, you can try repeating both parts of this conversation. Or try switching out some phrases with different ones. Instead of "I don't know," try "no idea." Instead of "I'm down," try "that works for me." This flexibility and ability to mix and match phrases is what shows you really understand the flow of American English. Now, let's dive into another super common expression in American English. All right or all right. This phrase has several different meanings depending on the tone and the context. It can be used as a casual agreement. For example, if someone says, "Let's meet at 6," and you reply, "All right." It can also mean everything is okay, like when someone says, "Everything's going to be all right." Or it can be used to move the conversation forward, like, "All right, let's get started." It's an incredibly flexible phrase, and you'll hear it constantly in everyday American speech. Let's try using it together. Say, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." Now try, "It's all right, don't worry about it." And here's one more. "All right, let's do this thing." Let's look at how Americans use the word actually again, but this time in more emotional and conversational ways. Earlier, we used it to correct information or give honest opinions. But it's also used to express surprise or add emphasis to something unexpected. For example, someone might say, "I actually liked that movie," or "She actually called me back." "I actually had fun at the meeting." Now try, "He actually remembered my birthday." And here's one more. "They actually agree with my idea." Focus on the change in tone. It's soft but meaningful. That's the kind of tone American speakers use without even thinking about it, but you can absolutely learn it through regular practice. Another really interesting word is literally, which we touched on earlier, but I want to dive deeper into it because it's used so much in American English. In American English, it's often used for drama or emphasis, even if the statement isn't completely literal in the traditional sense. This is part of casual exaggeration that's completely normal in everyday speech. For example, someone might say, "I was literally shaking," or "She literally screamed when she saw it." These are emotional expressions meant to create impact and show how strongly you feel about something. You'll hear it constantly, especially among younger speakers. Try these with me. Say this: I literally jumped out of my seat. Now try: he was literally the nicest person ever. And here's one more: it literally took forever to get there. Try saying them with a dramatic tone to emphasize your feelings about something. Let's also explore the phrase kind of like. Americans often use this to describe situations or feelings that are difficult to explain directly. For example, someone might say, "It's kind of like when you forget your keys but can't remember where you left them," or "She's kind of like a big sister to me." It's a way to compare one thing to another in a soft, conversational tone. Let's say a few lines together. Try this: it's kind of like magic how it works. Now try: that song is kind of like what we used to listen to in high school. And here's one more: he's kind of like the leader of the group. As you practice, try to stretch the word like slightly because it adds to the casual flow of the phrase. This is the rhythm of real American English in action. Now, let's focus on one of the most important elements in sounding authentically American: reductions. These happen when two or more words are combined or shortened in natural speech. You've already seen examples like gonna, wanna, and gotta, but there are more subtle ones too. For example, didja becomes didja, and what are ya becomes whatja. For example, someone might say, "Did you see that?" or "What are you thinking about?" Let's try some together. Repeat this: did he go to the party becomes, did he go to the party? What you thinking about? It's important to note that these reductions are not for formal writing, but in spoken English, they're absolutely normal and expected. Practice saying them fast and smoothly because that's how Native American speakers sound natural in everyday life. Another great phrase to learn is "I don't know," which is "I don't know" shortened and said super fast. It's not lazy speech, it's just casual and fast, which is exactly how people actually talk in real conversations. People say "I don't know" in many different situations. For example, if someone asks, "What time is it?" you might say, "I don't know." Or if someone says, "What should we do?" you might say, "I don't know, maybe get some food." Practice with me. Practice with me. I don't know what he meant by that. Now try: she was like, I don't know, acting really weird. And here's another: I don't know if I can go or not. These expressions show casual uncertainty, and you'll hear them all the time in American conversations. Learning to say them naturally will seriously boost your fluency. Now, let's explore a few very casual phrases that reflect the everyday personality of American English. Phrases like "for real," "no big deal," and "you're good" are all ways of sounding laid back and friendly. For example, if someone asks, "Is this seat taken?" you might say, "No, you're good." Or if someone thanks you for waiting, you might say, "No big deal." Or when someone asks if you're serious, you might say, "Yeah, for real." "You're good. Go ahead." "It's no big deal, seriously." And here's another: "Really? That was for real?" These might not be taught in traditional textbooks, but they're absolutely the kinds of phrases you hear all the time in casual American conversations, at cafes, parks, offices, or even on the street. Another phrase to focus on is "I'm down." This means you agree or you're interested in doing something. If someone says, "Do you want to go hiking this weekend?" and you say, "I'm down," it basically means yes, you'd like to go. It's a cool and informal way to express agreement and show you're interested. Try these with me. Say this: "I'm down for whatever you want to do." Now try: You guys going to the concert? I'm down. And here's one more. If you're making coffee, I'm down. These phrases show social connection and openness. Americans often use them to sound open, relaxed, and agreeable. Learning how to use them naturally helps you join conversations comfortably and sound like part of the group. Let's now move to another conversational favorite, sounds good. Americans use this all the time to agree with a plan or suggestion. For example, if someone says, let's meet at 7, you might respond, sounds good. Or if someone says, I'll bring snacks, you might say, sounds good to me. It's short, simple, and super common in everyday conversations. Sounds good. Now try, that sounds good to me. And here's another. Friday at 6. Sounds good. These quick responses keep conversations moving smoothly and show that you're comfortable and agreeable with what's being suggested. You're basically saying the plan sounds fine to you. These quick responses keep conversations moving smoothly and show that you're comfortable and agreeable with what's being suggested. You're basically saying the plan sounds fine to you. Or, I feel like we've been here before. It's not really about emotion in the traditional sense. It's often about intuition or what you're thinking about a situation. Repeat with me. Say this. I feel like we need to try again. Now try. I feel like she's upset about something. And here's one more. I feel like it's gonna rain later. These lines let you express your ideas and intuitions without sounding too strong or direct, which is an important part of American conversational style and culture. Now, let's try another mini story combining several of the expressions we've just learned. Picture two coworkers talking at lunch, trying to plan their weekend. One says, "So, what do you want to do this weekend?" The other says, I don't know. I feel like just chillin' and relaxing. I'm kinda tired. First coworker replies, Cool, I'm down for that. Wanna grab some coffee? Yeah, sounds good. You sure you're good to drive? Yep, let's go. This is literally how real American English works. Quick, casual, friendly, and full of expressions showing agreement and interest. To practice, you can try repeating both parts or try switching out phrases with others. The flexibility and ability to mix different phrases shows you really understand the flow of American English. Now, let's take a closer look at one of the most common American words, really. It's used absolutely everywhere in American English. Americans use really not just to mean truly or actually, but to emphasize or exaggerate something. Instead of saying, I'm tired, you'll hear someone say, I'm really tired. Instead of saying, it's cold, they'll say, it's really cold today. It adds extra emotion and emphasis to everything you say. Practice time. Say out loud with me. That movie was really good. Now change it up. That pizza was really delicious. And here's one more. I really like this shirt. Try to use really before adjectives and verbs to sound more natural and authentic to their speech. Americans absolutely love adding that emphasis to their speech. Another popular word you'll often hear is stuff. It's a casual way to refer to things in general or belongings. Instead of saying, I have many things to do, an American would say, I have so much stuff to do. Or, I brought all my stuff might mean all their possessions. It can mean belongings, tasks, or even random items. Practice exercise. Try saying, I packed my stuff for the trip. Now try, she's talking about some weird stuff. And one more, I need to organize my stuff this weekend. You'll sound casual and fluent when you start using stuff like native speakers do. Let's talk about the word gotta, which is actually a contraction of got to, and it means have to. For example, instead of saying, I have to go, you'll hear someone say, I gotta go. This is very American, very informal, and used in quick, natural speech all the time. Let's practice some sentences together. Say this: I gotta finish my homework tonight. Now try, I gotta call my mom back. And here's another: we gotta leave in 10 minutes. You'll hear this in movies, TV shows, and real life everywhere. Start practicing using gotta when you're speaking quickly and casually. Next up is the word kinda, which is the short for kind of. Americans use this when they're unsure, hesitant, or trying to be polite about something. For example, I'm kinda tired means you're somewhat tired but not completely exhausted. Or, it's kinda expensive means it's not super expensive but still a bit pricey. Try these practice sentences. Say, I kinda want to go out tonight if that's cool. Now try, she's kinda mad at me about what I said. And here's one more. It's kinda cold in this room. This softens your speech and makes everything sound more natural in everyday American English. One of the most natural American habits is using short, quick responses like yup, nah, uh-huh, and mm-hmm. These might just sound like simple sounds, but they're actually very powerful in conversations. Yup means yes, nah means no, and uh-huh or mm-hmm can mean yes or agreement, depending on the tone you use. Let's practice a small conversation using these. Do you want coffee? Yup. Did you finish your work? Uh-huh. Did you see that movie? Nah, not yet. Start adding these to your replies when chatting with people. It'll immediately make you sound very American and authentic. Now, here's another phrase you'll hear in nearly every American conversation. You know. It's often used at the beginning or end of a sentence to keep the flow or to check if someone is following you. For example, someone might say, it was, kinda awkward, or, you know what I mean. It helps fill pauses while still keeping the listener's attention engaged in the conversation. Critical, Now try, it's not that simple, And here's another. I just want to be happy, Just don't overuse it, but placing it naturally will make your English sound way smoother and more conversational. Another everyday phrase is I mean. Americans say this when they want to clarify or explain something further. Like, I didn't say that, or it's not bad, just different. It gives you time to think and adds a really conversational tone to your speaking. Practice examples. Say this: it's your choice ultimately. Now try, she did try her best though. And here's one more. We can wait if you want to. Try saying these slowly at first, then more naturally as you get comfortable with them. The phrase like is incredibly common, especially among younger speakers in America. It's used as a filler, to compare things, or to show hesitation. For example, someone might say, I was so surprised, or it's like a dream come true, or she's like, don't do that. Although it's casual and sometimes overused, learning to use like in the right way helps you sound more natural and authentic. Practice a bit. Try this. It was totally unexpected. Now try. He was super angry about it. And here's one more. She's like a sister to me. Don't stress about perfect grammar here, because this is about sounding like how real people actually talk. Let's shift to expressions of genuine reaction and emotion. Americans love using expressions like, no way, seriously? That's crazy, and oh my God, to show emotions in daily conversation. These aren't formal at all, but they're absolutely part of how people express excitement, disbelief, or concern in real life. For instance, if someone says, I got the job, you might say, no way, that's awesome. Or if someone says, "He crashed his bike," you might respond, "Seriously? Is he okay?" These are very conversational and authentic. Try saying them aloud. "No way! That's crazy!" Now try, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" Say them with the emotion behind them because that's what makes them real and believable to people you're talking to. Now, let's practice all of these together in a slightly longer conversation to really build your fluency and confidence. Imagine you're on the phone with a friend who just got back from vacation. They say, "Hey, I'm back. It was really awesome." You reply, "No way. I'm so glad you had a great time. Did you bring back any cool stuff?" Then they say, "Yeah, I got some cool souvenirs. I'm kind of tired now, though." "Yeah, I get that. Traveling's exhausting. I mean, you gotta rest, right?" Then they laugh and say, "Totally, I'm like a zombie today." See how natural that flow is? Practice having imaginary conversations like this. It builds your memory and your ability to use these words in real time. Another way to master American English is by repeating real conversations or clips from TV shows and movies. This technique is called shadowing. When you hear a sentence like, "I'm going to grab some coffee," you pause and repeat it in the exact same tone and speed as the speaker. Critical. "I'm going to grab some coffee. Do you want to come with me?" "Nah, I'm good." "Okay, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Focus not just on the words, but on the rhythm, the melody, and the pauses between words. American English has this musical flow, and once you feel that rhythm, your speaking skills improve dramatically. Also, Americans love saying things indirectly, using polite or casual phrases instead of being super direct. For example, instead of simply saying, "Help me," they'll say, "Could you give me a hand?" Instead of saying, "I don't understand," they might say, "I'm not quite sure what you mean." This soft language helps in sounding friendly and natural in conversations. Let's try some transformations. Instead of "close the door," "Could you close the door for me?" Instead of "tell me," say, "Would you mind telling me?" These small changes make a huge difference in how your English is received by others. Another incredibly common and useful word in American English is sure. You'll hear it absolutely everywhere, and it plays many different roles in daily speech. For example, it can be used to agree with something. "Sure, I can help you with that." Or to give permission. "Sure, go ahead." It can also be used to express confidence. "I'm sure it'll work out." Americans often use sure in casual interactions to keep conversations light and agreeable. For example, if someone says, "Can I borrow your pen?" the quick and friendly response would be, "Sure." You can also say, "Yeah, sure," or "Sure thing." Practice using this word in different tones and contexts. "Sure, I'll be there by 6. Another, "Are you sure this is the right way?" Now, let's focus on a phrase that truly defines American casual conversation at its core. "I mean" is often used to clarify something, give more detail, or even correct yourself mid-sentence. For example, someone might say, "I didn't like the movie. I mean, the acting was fine, but the story was weak." It gives you a chance to pause and explain your thoughts more clearly. Americans use "I mean" to soften what they're saying or to make their tone sound more relaxed and informal. You can say, "I mean, I don't mind helping, but I have a lot to do today." Practice using it in your own examples. Try saying, "I was going to call you. I mean, I was just really busy." It helps you organize your thoughts while keeping your tone friendly and relatable. Next, let's work more with the word really. Americans use really in so many ways to add emphasis, to express emotion, or to show genuine interest. For instance, you might say, "I really like this song," or "That's really nice of you." It can also be used in questions. Do you really think so? Or, really? That's amazing. It adds excitement, surprise, and genuine feeling to your voice. When speaking, be mindful of how your tone really want to go to that concert. Now try, she's really good at painting. The more you use it, the more fluent and expressive your speech will become. Let's revisit kind of and sort of one more time, because these are so important. These are informal ways of softening what you're saying. Native speakers use them in casual conversations constantly. For example, you might say, "I'm kind of tired today," or "It's sort of funny, don't you think?" These words help soften what you say, making it less direct or more relaxed overall. Instead of saying, "I'm tired," which is strong and direct, saying, "I'm kinda tired," makes it sound more casual and less intense. Practice with this example. "I'm kinda nervous about the meeting." Another one. "It's sort of complicated to explain." These expressions are absolutely essential if you want to sound like a Native American speaker. Another small but powerful word is though, which is often used at the end of a sentence to contrast or soften a statement. For example, someone might say, "The food was good. It was a bit salty though." Or, "I didn't finish the project. I tried my best though." This use of though is extremely common and gives your sentences a more natural conversational rhythm. It shows that you're thinking about both sides of something. Try using it like this. "She said she'd call. I haven't heard from her though." Or, "It's raining. I'm still going out though." Practice these in your daily conversations to get used to the placement and tone of though. Let's talk more about the phrase, "you know." Americans use this not just to check if someone knows something, but also to fill pauses, invite agreement, or explain something better. For example, someone might say, "I was really nervous, before the interview," or "It's hard to explain, This phrase adds a natural flow to your speech and helps maintain connection with the listener. Try saying, "It was, kind of awkward," or "We had a great time, Using it in your practice will help you become more fluent in casual speech. Remember, the key is not to overuse it. Another typical phrase is the word like, and we don't mean just the verb to like something, though that's common too in casual American English. Like is often used as a filler word or to show approximation. For example, someone might say, "I was so tired after work," or "It took forever to get there." It adds a relaxed and expressive tone, especially among younger speakers. Be careful not to overuse it, but using like occasionally in casual contexts can help you sound more authentic. Practice this. Say, "She was really surprised when she found out." Now try, "There were 20 people in line." It's one of those small words that plays a big role in everyday American speech. Let's add some more practice together using a short daily story. Imagine this situation. You're at a coffee shop with your friend. You say, "Hey, I'm kinda hungry. Want to grab something to eat?" Your friend says, "Sure, I'm down." You both walk over and you say, "Everything looks so good. I'm not sure what to get." The cashier says, "You can try the turkey sandwich. It's really popular." "Cool, I'll go with that then." Later, your friend asks, "Did you like it?" "Yeah, it was good. A bit salty, though." These types of real casual conversations are filled with everyday American words. Try saying the whole dialogue out loud. Another quick scenario. You're texting a friend and say, "Hey, want to hang out later?" They reply, "Kinda busy today. Maybe tomorrow?" You respond, "Sure, sounds good." The next day, you say, "I'm free after 6, if that works." These are all natural phrases that sound smooth and native-like. The more you read, hear, and use them, the better you'll get at sounding American in your speaking style. Practice these regularly, and you'll notice a huge difference in your confidence. Now, let's revisit some of these words in a practice exercise paragraph. Try repeating after me or shadowing as I read this. So, I was like walking to the store, and I saw this guy who looked kind of familiar. I mean, I wasn't sure if I should say hi or not. He smiled, though, so I waved. He was like, "Hey, long time no see." I said, "Yeah, really? How have you been?" He said, "I'm good, just busy with work. It was nice to see him again. I'm sure we'll catch up soon." Practice this paragraph multiple times. Now that you've practiced some of the most commonly used words and phrases in American English, you're already one really big step closer to sounding more fluent and natural when you speak. Remember, learning English isn't just about memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules. It's about building confidence through regular use, real-life practice, and listening carefully to how native speakers actually talk. The words we covered today might seem simple on the surface, but they're absolutely the foundation of how Americans express themselves in everyday situations. Whether you're ordering food at a restaurant, asking for help with something, chatting with friends, or just trying to make small talk with someone new, these expressions will help you connect with others in a more authentic and relaxed way. If you keep reviewing these phrases regularly, practicing them out loud, and listening to them in conversations, you'll notice a big improvement in your listening and speaking skills over time. The more you immerse yourself in this kind of everyday English, the more natural it will feel to you. So keep going. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm so proud of how hard you're working. Make time each day to listen, repeat, and use what you learn, even if it's just a few minutes here and there. Little by little, those minutes will add up to real, genuine fluency that people will notice. Listen to American movies and TV shows with subtitles. Pay attention to how characters use these phrases. Record yourself speaking and listen back. Find a language exchange partner and practice conversations. Join online communities where you can chat with other learners and native speakers. All of these things will help you improve faster. And I want to say this directly to you. You have what it takes to become fluent in English. It's not about how smart you are or how old you are or where you come from. It's about consistency, practice, and believing in yourself. Every single sentence you practice, every conversation you have, every mistake you make and learn from, all of it is moving you closer to your goals. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We use the wrong words sometimes. We forget what we're saying mid-sentence. We pause to think. That's completely normal and natural. What matters is that you keep trying, keep practicing, and keep putting yourself out there. Before we end today's episode, I want to remind you about something really important. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast channel. Tap that subscription button so you never miss a new lesson. We upload fresh and useful English learning content constantly, and every single episode is designed to help you become more confident and more fluent. If you found today's episode helpful and valuable, please give it a like or a positive rating. Share it with your friends and family who are also working on their English skills. Seriously, word of mouth is everything, and when you share episodes like this, you're helping your friends improve their English too. Make sure you check out our podcast playlist because we have so many amazing episodes covering everything from advanced pronunciation to understanding American culture and communication styles. Every episode in that playlist is designed to take you from where you are now to sounding like a native speaker. The playlist is right there waiting for you, so go check it out right now. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today. I genuinely appreciate you being here, and being part of this amazing community of language learners. I'll see you in the next lesson, and I promise it's going to be just as good as today's episode. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep sounding more and more like an American every single day. You've got this, my friend. I believe in you. Let's keep improving your English together.